I woke up in a body that wasn't mine, choking on the metallic tang of someone else's regret, while the world outside buzzed with the lie that I was finally free. My hands, rough, callous things that had never typed a line of code, trembled as I clawed at the sterile sheets of a hospice bed, realizing the swap had stolen not just my skin, but the empire I'd built from nothing. And the worst part? It was my own blood who pulled the switch. My sister Lila, the golden child they'd always chosen, now parading around in my life like she'd earned the crown of thorns I'd worn for years. That's the hook of it. The raw, festering truth that still makes my gut twist like a knife in a fresh wound. I'd slaved away in the shadows of our crumbling South Side row house, patching code in basements while Mom and Dad fawned over Lila's beauty pageant smiles and half-assed college dropout stories. They ignored the nights I skipped meals to buy server time, the evictions I hid like dirty secrets, the breakdowns where I'd scream into the void because no one, not one goddamn soul in that family, gave a rat's ass about the invisible girl grinding her teeth to stardom. But when my app, EchoMind, an AI that predicts market crashes with eerie precision, exploded overnight, turning me into a 28-year-old tech wunderkind worth 9 figures?
Oh.
They came crawling back, arms outstretched, ready to rewrite history as if they'd been there all along. The rain hammered Chicago like it had a personal grudge, turning the streets into rivers of regret as I stumbled out of that godforsaken hospice in Pilsen. My new legs, Lila's legs, actually felt like they were made of wet newspaper, buckling under the weight of a body ravaged by years of bad choices and worse company. She was 42 to my 28. Her skin sallow from chain-smoking Marlboros and chasing highs that promised escape but delivered only debt. I caught my reflection in a puddle, crow's feet etching betrayal around eyes that used to sparkle with code-fueled mania, hair frizzed and graying at the temples like she'd aged in dog years. "Gemma?" a nurse had whispered earlier, her voice thick with pity, handing me a crumpled ID that screamed the lie. "Gemma Harlow," it said. But it wasn't me. Not anymore. I hailed a cab with shaking hands, the driver eyeing me like I was a ghost who'd forgotten to die. "O'Hare," I rasped, my voice a gravelly smoker's hack that made me want to retch. The airport was my only shot, fly under the radar, get to a black market doc in New York who'd whispered about reversal tech in the dark web forums I'd haunted before the swap. But as the cab merged onto the Dan Ryan, my phone, Lila's phone, a cracked iPhone SE from 2018, buzzed with notifications that hit like bullets. Texts from Mom. "Darling, so proud of Gemma's big TED Talk tonight. Wish you could be there. Love you." Photos attached. Me, my face, my body, striding across a stage in a power suit, the crowd erupting as I demoed EchoMind's latest update. But it was Lila puppeteering it all, her essence hijacked into my prime, while I rotted in her husk. Betrayal doesn't come sharper than family,
folks.
Ours was a South Side saga straight out of a Scorsese fever dream. Dad a union pipefitter who'd lost his hands to a factory accident. Mom a diner waitress slinging hash browns with a smile that hid the bruises from his bottle-fueled rages. Lila, 3 years my senior, was the escape artist, cheer captain at Whitney Young, homecoming queen, the one who'd snag boys with a wink while I buried myself in Commodore 64 manuals smuggled from the library. "You're the smart one, Gem," Mom would say, ruffling my hair before turning to Lila with hugs and new dresses. But Lila's got the spark. Spark for what? Partying through community college, marrying a sleazy car salesman who cleaned her out in the divorce, then drifting into the arms of Victor Kane, a venture capitalist with a penthouse in the Loop and a reputation for burying startups and bodies in his wake.
Victor.
The name alone still sends ice through my veins. He was the architect of this nightmare. The puppet master with strings dipped in black money and biotech wizardry. I'd met him once, at a Techstars mixer in 22, when EchoMind was just a scrappy prototype predicting stock dips from social media sentiment.
Tall.
Silver Fox handsome in that Wall Street wolf way, with eyes like polished obsidian that stripped you bare. Revolutionary, he'd purred, slipping me his card. Let's talk scaling. But scaling meant control, and Victor Kane didn't share thrones. When my valuation hit $200 million 6 months later, courtesy of a Silicon Valley buyout, he didn't court me, he conspired. Through Lila, his side piece du jour, he'd learned my secrets, the late-night Adderall binges to code through migraines, the isolation that left me vulnerable, the family fractures he'd exploit like cracks in a dam. The swap happened on a Tuesday, or so the fragmented memories in this brain tell me. Lila had flown in from her latest retreat in Sedona, code for drying out at a luxury rehab paid by Victor's slush fund. Family dinner, she'd texted, the first outreach in years. I should have smelled the rat, but blood's thicker than suspicion.
Right?
We met at that overpriced Italian joint in River North. The one with exposed brick and $28 pasta. Mom and Dad were there, beaming like I'd invited the Pope. Lila, radiant in a borrowed sheath dress, raised a toast to Gemma, the prodigal brainiac. The wine was crisp, oaky, nothing amiss until the sommelier comped us a rare vintage. Victor's compliments via a discreet note. One sip, and the world tilted. Blackness swallowed me whole. A void where whispers echoed, "This is mercy."
Gemma.
For all of us. I came to in the hospice, monitors beeping like accusatory fingers, a doctor droning about end-stage emphysema and do not resuscitate. Lila's life, unraveling at the seams. Her lungs were Swiss cheese from years of vice. Her savings drained by Victor's loans. Her social circle a parade of enablers who'd ghost her at the first whiff of downfall. And me, trapped in this cage of failing flesh. While she danced in mine, my board meetings, my interviews, my billions funneled into Victor's offshore accounts. The cab dropped me at O'Hare, and I shuffled through security like a refugee, flashing Lila's ID with a prayer it held. Gate agents barely glanced. Who questions a middle-aged wreck in yoga pants? On the red-eye to JFK. I huddled in my window seat, scrolling Lila's contacts for dirt. There was a thread with Victor, time-stamped yesterday. It's done. She's out.
EchoMind's yours now.
Dinner at the Peninsula? Rage boiled low, a slow simmer turning to inferno. Revenge wasn't a choice, it was oxygen. But how? I had no access. No face. No fortune. Just a body on borrowed time and a sister's scattered digital trail. By the time wheels touched down in the gray dawn over Queens, I'd sketched a plan on a barf bag, infiltrate Victor's world from the shadows, turn Lila's vices against her, expose the swap without unraveling the fragile lie holding my old life together. Step 1. Pawn her heirlooms for cash. A gaudy Cartier watch from Victor fetched $5,000 at a midtown shop, enough for a burner laptop and a room at the Pod Hotel. From there, I dove into the underbelly, hiring a PI via Craigslist, the kind who asks no questions for the right crypto transfer. Her name was Roxanne, ex-NYPD with a nose for corruption and a fee that made my blood run cold. Body swaps? That's sci-fi shit. Lady, she grunted over burner calls, but the wire transfer sealed it. By day 3, dossiers flooded my inbox. Victor Kane, 52. MIT dropout turned vulture cap kingpin. Linked to 3 suspicious suicides of founders who'd crossed him. The tech? A neural lace prototype. Black budget from a DARPA offshoot. Tested in underground clinics on the desperate. Lila wasn't the first volunteer, she was the opportunist. Seduced by promises of youth and wealth. She signed the waiver, Roxanne emailed, attaching a blurry consent form. But Victor rigged the switch. One-way ticket. Nights blurred into a fever of research. My borrowed lungs wheezing protests as I chain-vaped to stay sharp. Ironic payback. EchoMind's API was public-facing. But the core algorithms? Locked in her personal vault. Biometrics tied to my old prints. Lila was fumbling it. I could tell from the stock chatter. Delayed updates. Jittery demos. The family? They descended like locusts. Mom's voicemails gushed about our Gemma's glow-up. Dad angling for a family foundation cut. They hadn't called this number once. Ignored in life. Erased in death. Week 2. I made contact. A fake LinkedIn profile as Elena Voss. Biotech consultant, pinging Victor's assistant with a hook. Interested in neural interface ethics? Have intel on recent anomalies. The bite came swift, an invite to his Hudson Yards lair. All glass walls and Eames chairs overlooking the Hudson's murky flow. I dolled up Lila's frame in thrift store chic. Pencil skirt. Blouse buttoned to hide the jaundice tint. Mirror check, passable. If you ignored the cough rattling my ribs. Security waved me through. Victor's empire ran on arrogance. He greeted me in the boardroom. All charisma and cologne. Extending a hand that screamed boardroom battles. MS. Voss. Your message intrigued. Up close. He was sharper than photos suggested, jaw like chiseled granite. Eyes scanning for threats. Lila lounged at his side. In my body. Legs crossed in Louboutins. Flashing a smile that was all teeth. Our eyes met. And for a split second, hers widened. Recognition? Or just the drugs? Darling. Who's this? She purred. Voice mine but cadence off. A Midwestern lilt she'd never mastered. Potential partner, Victor replied, gesturing to seats. We dove into bullshit. Regulatory hurdles. FDA whispers. I played coy, dropping hints about unstable swaps from leaked trials. His poker face cracked once, a tick at the jaw, while Lila fidgeted, nails digging into palms. By meeting's end, I'd planted seeds, a contact for anonymous tips to the SEC, laced with EchoMind's vulnerabilities. Think on it, I said, rising with a wheeze masked as a sigh. In the elevator, alone, I sagged against the wall, tears hot. This was war, and the first volley was mine. But revenge is a bitch that bites back. That night, in my pod shoebox, sirens wailed as shadows moved outside. Victor's cleaners? I bolted, crashing at Roxanne's Astoria walk-up, a fortress of file cabinets and cat hair. You're in deep, kid, she warned, pouring bourbon neat.
Kid.
At 42, I felt ancient. We plotted escalation, hack Lila's, my socials. Seed rumors of instability. Make her doubt herself, Roxanne advised. Crack the facade. The cracks came fast. A viral tweet from an anon account, EchoMind's founder acting erratic, imposter vibes, tech fraud. Shares exploded. Investors jittered. Lila's public appearances turned train wrecks, flubbed keynotes. wardrobe malfunctions that screamed sabotage. I watched from dive bars, nursing Ginger Alish to spare my lungs. A ghost haunting her throne. Family fallout hit peak absurdity. Mom's Facebook post. Proud of my girls. Gemma's killing it. Lila's finding her way. Finding her way to a padded cell. Maybe. Then the call that upended it all. Roxanne, voice tight, got a lead on the swap doc. Some quack in Jersey. But Gemma, your old body's failing. Neural rejection, hallucinations, blackouts. My heart, Lila's heart, stuttered. If she crashed, the swap reversed, or killed us both. Desperation clawed. Time for phase 2. The confrontation. I booked a flight back to Chi-Town, armed with printouts and a concealed recorder. Victor's gala at the Art Institute loomed, black tie affair for Echo Mind's next gen. I'd crash it as Elena Voss. Force the truth into the light. The windy city welcomed me with a gale that whipped my coat like judgment. From a payphone, old school paranoia, I dialed Mom. It's Gemma, I croaked. Silence. Then, Lila? Sweetie. You sound awful. Call your sister. She's got the connections.
Click.
Ignored again.
Fine.
I'd burn it all down solo. The gala glittered under crystal chandeliers, air thick with Chanel and champagne flutes. I slipped in via a service entrance, Roxanne's forged invite in hand, heart pounding like a jackhammer. There they were, Victor schmoozing senators. Lila, me, holding court by the Monet. Dress hugging curves I'd earned through CrossFit and kale smoothies. Our eyes locked across the room. And this time, no flicker of doubt.
She knew.
Elena, she mouthed, excusing herself to corner me by the coat check. You bitch, she hissed, breath hot with gin. What the hell are you doing in my skin? My skin. The audacity ignited me. Your skin? This is mine. You parasite. Victor's toy. Sucking the life from what I built. She laughed. A brittle sound that echoed my old sarcasm. You were wasting it.
Gem.
The pressure. The loneliness you were cracking. I saved us. Mom and Dad finally see us as winners. Saved? You stole. I thrust the dossier forward. Pages spilling. Consent forms. Wire transfers. The neural lace schematics. Her face, my face, paled. Give it back, I whispered. Voice breaking. Before it kills us both. Footsteps approached Victor's. She snatched the papers, crumpling them. Over my dead body. Irony. Thy name is sister. I fled into the night, pulse thundering, but the seed was planted. By morning, leaks hit the wires, Echo Mind scandal, founder impersonation allegations. Victor's stock plummeted. Board called emergency sessions. From a motel off Lakeshore Drive, I monitored it all, lungs burning with each shallow breath. Lila's body was rebelling, coughs turning bloody, visions of code matrices dancing in fever dreams. But the plan held. One more move. The kill shot. Dawn broke over Lake Michigan like a hangover, gray and unforgiving. As I plotted the endgame in that Fleabag motel room smelling of mildew and regret. The TV droned CNBC. Anchors dissecting the Echo Mind implosion with the glee of vultures at a kill. Harlow's erratic behavior. Drugs? Burnout? Or something more sinister? Lila's face filled the screen, gaunt under studio lights, deflecting with rehearsed poise. But I saw the tells, the darting eyes, the forced smile. She was unraveling, just like I'd scripted. Victor flanked her, arm possessive around her, my shoulders, spinning damage control about innovation risks. Lies layered on lies. But the cracks spiderwebbed wider with every tweetstorm. Revenge, in its purest form, isn't about destruction. It's reclamation, forcing the thieves to choke on their spoils. I'd learned that in the code mines of my youth, debugging infinite loops until my eyes bled, teaching myself that persistence outlasts privilege. Lila never got it. She coasted on charm, crashing through lives like a drunk driver.
Now.
She'd crashed into mine, and I'd steer the wreck. Roxanne's latest drop was gold, Victor's private jet logs, tying him to the Jersey clinic, plus emails from Lila begging for the swap reversal 6 weeks in. It's not working, Vic. I feel her fighting back. Fighting back. Damn right. I needed leverage, something to flip the script, make them beg. The family angle gnawed at me, a rod I'd ignored too long. From the motel landline, I dialed Dad's number, the one etched in my brain from childhood telethons for his surgeries. Pop, it's Gemma. The real one.
A pause.
Then his gravel voice. Lila? Jesus.
Kid.
You gotta stop this drama. Your sister's got enough on her plate with the press.
Press.
My press. My empire crumbling under their greed. Ask her about the wine at dinner. The one that tasted like betrayal. Click. But I'd recorded it. Uploaded to a dead man's switch on a Tor server, triggered if I flatlined. Flooding media with a full saga. Emphysema doesn't wait for poetic justice. By noon, I was hacking phlegm into the sink, mirror showing a specter with Lila's haunted eyes. Pain meds from a corner bodega, fentanyl-laced bullshit, dulled the edges. But visions crept in, my old hands typing phantom keys. Echo Mind's interface blooming like a digital lotus. Was that the neural echo? Her essence leaking through? Or just withdrawal from the life I'd lost? Either way, it fueled me. I Ubered to the loop, hood up against the chill, slipping into a Wells Fargo as Elena Voss. The teller didn't blink at the forged docs, $10,000 wired from a slush account Roxanne had cracked. Cash in hand, I hit the streets, buying burners. A Glock from a guy in a parking garage who smelled like despair. Victor struck first. Of course. A black SUV tailed me from the bank, tires screeching as it mounted the curb on Wabash. I dove into an alley, heart slamming, emerging blocks away in a crowd of lunchtime suits. Message received, no mercy. But neither was mine. That night, I infiltrated the family manse, a modest bungalow in Englewood we'd fled to after Dad's accident. Now gussied up with my gifts. Back door jimmied with a credit card. Ghosts greeting me. Faded photos of Lila's prom. My science fair ribbons yellowing in a drawer. Mom snored in the master. Dad's oxygen tank hissing like a serpent. Upstairs, Lila's old room, now a shrine to her comeback, held the prize, her laptop. Password cracked in minutes, her birthday. Because of course. Files spilled secrets like confetti from a piñata. Victor's love notes. Laced with possession. You're mine now. In every way. Medical scans of the neural implant, buried in her scalp. And the kicker, a video, time-stamped swap night.
Me?
Slumping over Tiramisu, Lila. Eyes wild. Strapped to a gurney in Victor's private van. Do it, she gasps to the doc. A weaselly type in scrubs. Make me her.
Why?
A follow-up audio. Her confession to Victor. Voice breaking. Gemma success. It's the only way they'll love me. Like they never did her. Deep betrayal.
Check.
She'd borne my shadows. The family favoritism that starved us both. But twisted it into theft. Not just money, identity. I copied it all to a thumb drive. Rage, a white-hot forge. Dawn found me at a Kinko's, printing hard copies, mailing them anonymously to the Chicago Trib and SEC. Then, the big play, a meet with Victor, baited via email from a spoofed address. Hudson Yards. Midnight. Come alone. Or the tapes drop. He'd come. Control freaks always do. Roxanne protested. Suicide. Gemma. But I was past fear. This body was dying anyway, might as well die swinging. The day dragged in feverish haze. Lungs a bellows of fire. I dosed heavy on the bodega pills, chasing clarity with black coffee from a corner spot where the barista called everyone Han. Flashbacks hit like seizures, childhood Christmases. Lila unwrapping Barbies while I got socks. High school. Her stealing my essay for extra credit. Teachers praising her brains. Mom's mantra. Lila's the pretty one. You're the fixer. Fixer. That's what I was. Patching their messes. Funding Dad's PT. Mom's facelifts. All while they ghosted my breakdowns. Success? They claimed it like found money. Posing for press as the Harlow dynasty. Ignored the grind. Reaped the glory.
Now.
I'd make them choke on it. Dusk bled into night as I rode the L to the loop, Glock heavy in my purse. Hudson Yards loomed, a monolith of glass and greed, security lights casting long shadows. I slipped past the barriers, employee badge swiped from a trash bin, up to the 47th floor via service elevator. Victor waited in the boardroom. Alone as requested. Back to the windows. City sprawl at his feet like conquered territory. Voss, he drawled, not turning. Or should I say, Harlow Prime. The door clicked shut behind me, locking with a pneumatic hiss. I leveled the Glock, hands steady despite the tremor in my chest. You stole my life, Victor. Time to give it back. He pivoted slow, unperturbed, a faint smile playing. Bold. But sloppy. That body's got hours. Not days. His eyes flicked to my midsection. Cameras? Bugs? Paranoia spiked. But I pressed on, thumbing the recorder in my pocket. The swap was consensual, he continued, pouring scotch from a decanter. Your sister begged for it. Said you were wasting the potential. Lies. But close enough to sting. I circled him, gun trained. Lila's a pawn. You're the kingpin. DARPA tech in civilian hands? That's prison time. Pal. He chuckled. Low and dark. Prison? I own the wardens. Then, the pivot, he slid a tablet across the table. Screen glowing with live feeds, Mom and Dad, bound in their kitchen. Gags muffling pleas. Insurance, he said. Drop the gun. Or they join your hospice tour. Ice water in my veins. Family as leverage, the oldest trick. But it landed like a gut punch. You bastard, I whispered, finger itching on the trigger. But hesitation cost. He lunged, disarming me with a Krav Maga twist that sent the Glock skittering. We grappled, his strength against my frailty, nails raking his Armani as I wheezed curses. Alarms blared, his trap sprung. Security swarmed, tasers crackling, but I twisted free, grabbing the tablet. Tell Lila I know, I gasped, smashing it against the window. Shards rained as I bolted for the stairs. Lungs screaming fired down 47 flights. Sirens wailed below. I hit the alley running, vanishing into the night like smoke. Back at the motel, bruises blooming. I triggered the partial leak. Just the family threats. Enough to spook Victor without the full swap reveal. Media frenzy doubled. Tech mogul kidnaps rival's parents. Lila's facade cracked wide. A leaked audio of her meltdown at a presser went viral. It's not me. She's coming back. The backlash was biblical. Investors pulled out. EchoMine's stock cratered 80%. Victor's empire teetering. Family? Mom's tearful interview on CNN. We just want our girls safe. Our girls. As if she'd claimed me before.
Dad.
Silent. But his eyes in the clip, haunted, like he glimpsed the truth. Roxanne scooped me from the motel at dawn, driving hell for leather to a safe house in Gary, Indiana. A Rust Belt relic with peeling wallpaper and a landline. You're a hurricane. Kid, she said, bandaging my ribs. Hurricane. Fitting, winds of change. Or destruction. There. In that dim kitchen, over lukewarm Folgers. The visions intensified. Lila's memories bled through, her terror at the swap. Victor's coercion. The family dinners where she'd see that they're fawning over me. The outsider turned star. Betrayal's mirror. She'd suffered too. In shadows I never saw. But theft? Unforgivable. Phase 3. The climax. I'd lure them to neutral ground. Force the reversal under duress. The Jersey Clinic. Midnight tomorrow. Invite via dead drop. Coordinates in Victor's email. Baited with the full video. Word from the underground. Lila's body, mine was seizing. Neural feedback loop frying circuits. If we didn't swap back soon. Catatonia for both. My borrowed form? One bad cough from the grave. Stakes cosmic.
Decisions damning.
Do I save her? Forgive the unforgivable? Or let karma claim its due? As Gary's factories hummed dirges outside, I waited. Gun cleaned and loaded. Revenge or redemption, America's eternal debate, playing out in my fractured soul. But the call came at noon, shattering resolve. Lila's voice, my voice on the burner. Jem? God. It's you. Meet me.
Alone.
The old pier. Burnham Harbor. Now. No Victor. No traps. Desperation laced her tone. A plea from the abyss. Against rocks and screams. It's a setup. I went. The drive south hugged the lake. Waves crashing like accusations. At the pier, gulls wheeled under bruised skies. The air salt and sorrow. She waited at the end, bundled in a hoodie that swallowed my frame, face streaked with tears that mirrored mine. Sis, she choked as I approached, gun holstered but ready. It's killing me. The memories, your memories. The nights you coded alone. The evictions. I see it all. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The word hung, insufficient as a band-aid on a bullet wound.
Why?
I demanded, voice raw. Family love? Victor's leash? She sank to the planks, knees drawn up. Both. He promised control, but it's you in there, fighting. And them, Mom, Dad, they fawned over you, the success story, while I was the failure. I wanted to be seen.
Seen.
The core wound, shared and festering. I knelt, wind whipping, our eyes, opposites in sameness locking. Give it back.
Now.
She nodded, pulling a vial from her pocket, reversal serum. Swiped from the clinic. Victor doesn't know. But it's risky, one might not make it. Russian roulette with souls. My hand trembled on hers. Forgive or fire? The decision hung, controversial as sin, as sirens echoed distant, his hunters closing in. The vial glinted in Lila's palm like a fallen star, cold promise of reversal or ruin, as the first drops of rain speckled the pier. Sirens wailed closer, a symphony of impending doom. But time fractured, sisters adrift on weathered wood, the lake mirroring our fractured bond. Do it, I urged, pulse thundering against ribs that felt like splintered glass. Her hand shook, uncorking the syringe with teeth that chattered in the gale. I loved you.
Jem.
In my way. That's why I ignored the pain. Jealousy blinded me.
Loved.
Past tense.
Or lie.
But her eyes,
My eyes.
brimmed with a rawness I'd never seen in mirrors. Betrayal's blade has two edges. Hers had carved us both. She jabbed the needle into her thigh, my thigh, hissing as serum flooded veins. Convulsions hit instant, limbs jerking like marionettes cut loose. Foam flecking lips. I caught her as she toppled, cradling the weight that was once mine, whispering nonsense, hold on. It's okay. We're okay, while shadows lengthened from the shore. Victor's men? Cops? Didn't matter. My turn. I snatched the second syringe from her pocket, slamming it home. Fire lanced through me, a supernova of nerves rebelling, visions exploding, code streams merging with her memories, a torrent of shared sins. Blackness claimed us, the pier dissolving into void. When light pierced again, it was sterile white, fluorescent hum, beeps of monitors, the acrid tang of antiseptic. I gasped awake, body foreign yet familiar, my body, lean and vital, lungs expanding without protest. A mirror across the room confirmed. Gemma Harlow, 28, unscarred. But Lila. She lay adjacent, in her husk, tubes snaking like accusations, chest rising shallow. Reversal worked, but at cost, doctors murmured coma indeterminate, her brain fried from the feedback loop. Victor's doing.
Orfate es cruel jest.
Roxanne burst in then. Badge flashing, NYPD cold case unit. Her retirement affront. You crazy bitch, she growled, but eyes shone relief. Cops raided Kane's penthouse an hour ago. Your leaks panned out full swap expose. DARPA ties. He's in cuffs. Screaming entrapment. Entrapment. The irony curled my lips into a bitter smile. The Trib headlines screamed it. Tech tycoon's body swap scandal. Sisters at war over fortune. Pundits debated ethics, eugenics, binaural hacks. Family as commodity. While Twitter burned with Harlow twins. Memes of us as Jekyll and Hyde. Family arrived at dusk. A procession of awkward hugs and averted eyes.
Mom.
Mascara Rivers. Clutched my hand. My baby. We didn't know. Lila said it was a prank. A joke.
Joke.
The word ignited residual fury, but exhaustion doused it.
Dad.
Wheelchair bound. Gripped my knee. Proud of you.
Jem.
Always were. Always? The lie stung. But I saw the cracks, guilt etching his face. The realization that favoritism had birthed monsters. Where were you when I needed it? I asked. Voice steady. Silence answered. Heavy as lead. They stayed through the night. Vigil for Lila. Whispers of our girls finally inclusive. If hollow. Discharge came swift, insurance my own. Perks of the prodigal returned. Back in my Gold Coast condo, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the skyline I'd conquered, I sifted ashes. Echo mind?
Gutted.
But salvageable. Board ousted Victor's cronies. Valuation rebounding on sympathy surge. I coded through jet lag, fortifying firewalls, purging his taint. But success tasted ash. The grind that once defined me now echoed hollow. Nights, I paced balconies, rain sheeting glass, haunted by Lila's plea. I wanted to be seen. Had I, in my ambition, I'd erased her struggles too, ignored the calls she never made, the sister bond frayed to threads. The twist dropped 2 weeks later. A bombshell from the DA's office. Roxanne phoned at midnight. Kane's talking. Full confession. Turns out, the swap wasn't Victor's brainchild alone. Lila? She'd approached him. 6 months pre-dinner. Desperation incarnate. Said you stole the family light. Roxanne read from transcripts. Offered half the empire for the switch. Half. Generous. For a thief. But deeper, our conception. Mom's secret. Buried in Kane's files, Lila and I. Donor eggs from the same batch. But Lila's birth accelerated via experimental fertility drugs Victor's firm funded. She was the mistake. The lab glitch bearing phantom pains. Emphysemas seed sown in vitro. I'd gunned the innocent. Or the victim. Truth reversed like a funhouse mirror. Lila hadn't just stolen, she'd reclaimed a life science stole from her youth. Health. The vitality docs denied her at birth. Victor, the enabler, profiting off pain.
Me?
The unwitting oppressor. My success a spotlight blinding her shadows. Rage flipped to nausea. I retched over the sink, staring at my reflection, wondering whose soul stared back. Controversial? Hell yes. Does theft justify theft? Victimhood excuse murder of self? I visited her daily. That sterile ICU ward a purgatory of beeps and blooms wilting on the sill. Coma held her under. But EEGs flickered, awareness trapped. Perhaps reliving the swap in loops. Wake up.
Sis, y de murmur.
Holding her hand, veins mapped like Chicago's L tracks. We fix this. Together. Mom and Dad joined. Tentative bridges built over bad coffee. Sharing stories they'd hoarded. Lila's hidden scholarships squandered on bailouts. My genius, a cover for panic attacks. Ignorance mutual. Wounds communal. Climax brewed in court. Victor's trial a circus of biotech horrors. I testified. First person raw. The swap's void. The betrayal's bite. The moral quagmire of stolen selves. He didn't just take my body, I told the packed gallery. Cameras flashing like judgment. He commodified family, turned love to leverage. Lila's footage played. Gasps rippling. Victor sneered from the dock. But the jury saw truth. Guilty on all. Fraud. Assault. Conspiracy. 25 to life. His empire auctioned to the winds. Echo Mind rose phoenix-like. Rebranded as Echo Soul. AI for mental health. Predicting breakdowns before they broke you. Valuation soared past billions. But I funneled chunks to victims' funds, neural abuse survivors, family therapy grants. Mom and Dad? Repaired. Slowly, weekly dinners sans wine. Truths aired like laundry. We failed you both, Dad admitted one night over pot roast. Eyes wet. But we're here now. Here. Present tense. Fragile gift. Lila woke on a Tuesday, 3 months post-reversal. eyes fluttering open to fluorescent glare. "Gem," she croaked. Voice hers, smoker's rasp, but alive. Tears came then, mutual flood. Apologies tumbling like dominoes. I saw it all in the dark.
Your pain. Mine.
Forgive. Forgiveness? Not absolution. But a start. She's in rehab now. Lungs patched with experimental stem cells, irony's wink, chasing sobriety. A second act scripted by Grace. Ending? Debatable as dawn. Happy? In threads, family mended. Empire ethical. Sisters scarred but standing. Tragic? The what-ifs linger. Lives unlived. Trusts shattered irreparably. Victor rots. But his shadow? Etched in our code. I walk Chicago's streets now. Rain or shine. A woman reborn. Whispering to the wind. Success claimed. But at what cost? The grind resumes. But wiser. America's rhythm. Tense and unyielding. Where revenge births unlikely peace. Or does it?
You tell me.